All right, let's go ahead and start this from the beginning. There we go. Good morning or afternoon, whichever one you chose. Let's get this out of the way. There we go. All right, so we are going to be talking about the interactions and relationships in ecosystems. So I want you to think about this as we go into this. What are some interactions or relationships you have in, let's say, Houston as an ecosystem? What are some type of interactions you may be having? You have to interact with the school, you have to interact with your family, with peers, teachers, doctors. You go to restaurants, grocery stores. You're doing a lot of different types of interactions, right? So we're pretty much going to talk about the interactions that take place in. Look at the picture right there. You have interactions taking place right now in that picture because you have trees, you have rocks, you have sunlight, you have all different types of factors taking place. So we're going to go into detail. Okay. Ecology is the study of the interactions between living organisms and their biotic and abiotic environments or ecosystems. So ecology is therefore the study of the relationship of plants and animals to their physical and biological environment. So which factor has the most importance? Think about this. Very, very important role to make sure all of these interactions take place. Think about that. Okay, I hope you said the sun because, yes, the sun plays a critical role. Believe it or not, without the sun, we would not have biological life. So, the sun plays a critical role in the ecosystem. It provides the energy for all life on Earth and relationships within the ecosystem. An ecosystem is characterized, by the abiotic and biotic factors. Okay, I want you to notice this is abiotic and biotic. Okay, abiotic factors are non-living. So anything that is not alive, does not have life, never had life, it is considered abiotic. Okay, biotic factors are living. Biotic factors are living. So we're going to look at ecosystems. Once again, all of the communities, that's all of those different communities, and we're going to go over that live in an area together with the abiotic and the biotic factors. So look at this picture here. You have the biosphere, which is pretty much the entire Earth, right? Everything. Then you have biome. Students are like, what is a biome? Well, that is a specific geographic area. And I put this picture right here so that you can look and see we have so many different biomes. If you think about it, Texas have a lot of biomes, right? Texas have grasslands. Believe it or not, Texas have one of the largest deserts. Okay, and I'm not going to tell you what that is. I want you to tell me. Why don't you go and find out what it is and let me know? All right. So we have ecosystem, we have community, population, and individual. And this is this is levels of organization. So if we start with the smallest, right, on this picture anyway, it would be the individual, me. And just to put this into perspective, I'm going to kind of use myself as an example. So individual would be Mrs. Jones, population would be my family, community would be my family and other families like your family, and then maybe pets, right? And then you have the ecosystem, would be Houston because we're all in it. And then what's holding Houston? Well, it's a biome, right? One of these biomes. We're pretty much, a biome, and then we're in the whole earth. So that is pretty much how you break that down. An organism's niche. So when we think about a niche, what is your role in life? You know, a lot of people are trying to find their role in life or their role in the classroom or their role on the job. This is what these different organisms do. They're trying to find their niche, right? So, this is both living and non living parts of an ecosystem that determines an organism's role in the ecosystem. These relationships are complex because they interact with other species, all right? Are biotic factors as well as with all of the abiotic factors. So they all are pretty much interacting with the same factors, or they need the same factors. All right. We're going to talk also about producers, consumers, decomposers, and scavengers. All right. Now I have this over here, the food chain of an owl, just to kind of show you a producer, a consumer, and notice these are three consumers, right? So you have your primary consumer, your secondary and tertiary. Okay. If two species share the same niche, they will have various interactions. What are those interactions? What do you think they will be? Let's look at the picture. How would that elephant and giraffe interact? Ah, okay. So, just to kind of give you an idea of a producer consumer relationship, which I'm sure everybody probably know these people right here. You have DJ Khaled. He's a producer. What do? He produces music. He creates his own beats, right? Then you have a consumer, which would be in this picture, Lil Wayne. He's consuming the beat that DJ Khaled made, and he is pretty much eating it up on the stage. Okay. So this, I use the studio, DJ Khaled's studio, as the ecosystem. So they're in this ecosystem, and their relationship in this ecosystem would be producer consumer. Okay. One person or one individual or organism is producing something, and someone else is consuming it. Okay. So, talking about producers, notice photosynthesis right here. Everybody remember that, right? Of course you do. Sixth grade, fifth grade, all of that. Producers are autotrophic organisms that make their own food. Phototrophic organisms use photosynthesis and contain chlorophyll. So this means, once again, that sunlight is the major factor for all of existence, right? For all of this even happening. So that sunlight plays a major role in producers producing what it is that we need to use. We need to consume it. Okay? Consumers are heterotrophic. This just means they do not make their own food. All right. I cannot make my own food. Even if I have a garden and I, plant tomatoes or what have you, I'm planting those tomatoes, but I'm not making those tomatoes. Right. Okay. So herbivores feed on vegetation, right? Producers. Carnivores feed on herbivores or on other carnivores. Omnivores, they feed on both. That's why I have the gray right there. It's a gray area there. They do both, producers and consumers. And then you have scavengers. Now, how many of you ever seen those vultures eating roadkill? Ugh, disgusting. I turn my head every time. All right, so those would be your scavengers. Decomposers are heterotrophs that recycle small, often microscopic bits of dead organic matter into inorganic nutrients available for plants to take up from the soil. Decomposers have a very, very, very important role at each trophic level. When you think about a food web, a food chain, and we're going to talk more about that, but decomposers play a very, very important role. Okay, very important role because what do? They are recycling nutrients, okay, back into the earth, back into the soil. So, bacteria and fungi are decomposers. Most worms are plant scavengers. Okay. All right. And there is those scavengers. Ew. They feed on dead animals and dead plant biomass. Scavengers reduce the size of dead organic matter. And then you have the decomposers to come and finish the job. Once again, decomposers are very important because what are they doing? Recycling nutrients that we all will possibly need. All right, so we have the producer-consumer relationships. And this picture right here pretty much gives you a good idea of how that looks. You have your energy, main source of energy is coming from the sun. The grass is going to be the producer, right? It's taking all of that energy. And then you have the grasshopper is going to eat the grass. Then you have the shrew, it's going to eat the grasshopper. And then you have the owl is going to eat the shrew. Now I want you to pay attention to these arrows. Those arrows are showing you what is being consumed by what. So that means that the grass is going to be consumed by the grasshopper. It's going to go into the grasshopper. The grasshopper will go into the shrew's belly. The shrew will go into the owl. Keep saying owl. Okay? So let's look here, and I want you to pay attention to this. Minus 10%. There's a 10% rule when we talk about trophic levels. When you are leaving one level and going up and up and up, as you go up, as you keep going up on that trophic level, you are losing energy. So that means if, let's say, this grass right here has 100% energy, the grasshopper, if it's going to be a 10% loss, right? I mean, you're only getting 10%. So the grasshopper, when the grasshopper eats the grass, will the grasshopper receive 100%? How much will the grasshopper receive? I hope you said 10%. It's right there. See? Okay. All right. So remember, sun's energy. Remember I told you decomposers recycle the energy. Notice the decomposer is important at every level. Energy is also lost. This is important to note. Energy is lost as heat. So at every single level, movement and heat destroys some of that energy. Or I don't want to say destroy because energy is not destroyed, right? So it is lost, okay? Food chains. Now, I want you to make sure you go through this. Food chains, it's a series of organisms that transfer food between the trophic levels, just like I just told you. And right here, if you look at the number examples, it shows you that 10% rule, okay? Shows you that rule. So make sure you pay attention to that. The arrows, once again, represent the flow of energy from one organism to the next. And the arrow points toward the organism doing the eating. Okay, so if you look at this food web here, let's look at the, how about we look at the ant? The ant, excuse me, the ant is being consumed by what? Okay, I hope you said the frog because you see that arrow is going into the frog's belly. Okay, relationships in the ecosystem. So you have predator-prey. One organism is a predator. It will actively hunt and consume another, the prey. So this is competition, right? Think about that. That rabbit is trying to go, right? Or it's going to get away or what have you. It's going to be competition because they're in the same area, so they're competing for space. However, this rabbit is also competing for its life, okay? Then you have what is called symbiotic relationships. These are those close relationships between two species in which at least one will benefit. So we're going to look at some just to make sure that we understand this. I'm sure everyone knows what a mosquito is. If you don't, well, let me tell you, they're disgusting, they're aggravating, and I'm surely not benefiting when they bite me. But when mosquitoes bite you, that is a parasite living off of our blood. Is it benefiting me? No, it is not. Of course not. So it's only one that is going to benefit. However, it's not going to kill me or harm me immediately. So it's pretty much one of those relationships where, you know, everyone is okay, but really only one will, benefit. And this is what we call parasitism. Then we have what is mutualism. All right, this is a cooperative partnership between two species, but both of them will benefit. For example, you have the bee and the flower. Okay, the bees get to eat, and the flowering plants get to reproduce from the pollen falling off of the bees, because when the bees are eating off of one plant, the pollen that they are carrying on their bodies will shake off on the next plant or flower, and it's going to help with pollinating. So it keeps everything going. Everybody wins with mutualism. And so commensalism, this is a relationship where one species benefit and the other doesn't get hurt. There's no problem. Nothing is wrong. How many of you ever been to the aquarium and you seen the shark and there were fish kind of swimming underneath it, all around it? This is that type of relationship. So you have the remora fish stays under the shark's belly and catches the excess food that the shark has left behind. The shark is benefiting the remora because it is basically helping and feeding it. Okay, no one is getting hurt at all. No one. There's another example. If you ever seen a movie or a cartoon where birds land on top of the cows, no one is getting hurt. Actually, the birds are able to eat, and the cows are benefiting because the birds are eating the ticks or bugs off of them. So everybody is doing okay. Okay. All right. We are going to get up out of this, and I want everyone to make sure that you complete everything for the week, and good luck.